welcome everyone to my very first event. I'm just so happy to be here. I know I look crazy right now, so thank goodness there's no video, and those listening in audio, you are welcome. It's just audio, okay? We are here at Lotus Rising Retreat. It is so beautiful here. It is my very first in-person event, and I'm so excited to be doing the podcast here with you guys. So welcome to the Mapuana Reed Show podcast. I have Naomi and Sepa here with me, and we are going to talk about the importance of female friendships and what it is to be one, and what it is, like what the meaning of it. And for me, it's loyalty, commitment, and safety. Yeah. And honestly, I think that those three things, if you have those three things within a friend, you got to just keep her for life, you know. I feel like it's so important, and it's also rare. And you don't need a lot of these friends to have that. You need like a good one or two, and then you're solid, you're good, you know? Yeah. So what does loyalty mean to you?
Loyalty. I myself don't feel like that resonate loyalty for my friendships until I look at it as what these female relationships are to us. Because I think, and we kind of touched on it a little bit when we were trying to talk about what we wanted to speak on, that part of me feels that these female relationships that we crave, that we sort of magnetize to, come from our desire to have our mother relationships, our sister relationships. But because we're born as their children, there is this separation of kind of self. And so I think we spend a lot of time trying to find that energy in other women. And I think the hard part is we didn't always get loyalty from the people that we believed or feel that we deserved or even deserved that loyalty from, especially our mothers and our born sisters. So I come from a family with lots of sisters, and we're all very close. And yet, because of childhood wounds from when I was younger, the disloyalty that I felt perceived through my sister relationships, I never experienced that deep female bond. And I didn't experience the safety that the loyalty I was missing, I believed would get me. And so from a young age, I craved and pursued relationships that would become like sisters. And for me, that was the loyalty comes from the place that I need in order to show up the way I want to show up. There's a certain amount of safety I have to have. There's a certain amount of loyalty. And loyalty is a tough one because we also think we're loyal in our relationships with our partners. We're loyal to our families. We're loyal to God. We're loyal to these beliefs. But how much of that is really what we feel or just performance? And so what happens, I believe, in our singular relationships and our friends that we develop, we get to explore that. And for me, that's the value is so beyond. For me, these friendships are my sisters. And for those of us who grew up with lots of sisters, we'll be able to say, yes, that is what it is. And those of us who are single, single children or never experienced that, that is the gift of what we give each other as women.
Isn't it beautiful to have like a friend who is just there for you, like with love, you know? Yeah.
Because so I have a question then for the audience. We were talking about this last night, and I wasn't making any sense of it, but I just was really curious. Do you think that as women, we put undue pressure on one another, to be good friends? I guess maybe because I'm comparing it to men, and I don't mean to, but I know like men have relationships that the expectations are not that they're deep, right? My girls and I a lot of times will say, like, if we're talking about, there was, I shouldn't say this. There's a friend of mine, a former coworker, who was really upset with someone we worked before, and I couldn't understand why she was upset. And one of the things she said was she's not a girl's girl. And I thought, do we put a lot of pressure on these friendships? And I think about myself, how like, oh man, I don't even see you if I don't think there's a chance we're going to be close friends, right? So what are your guys' thoughts on that? What does it mean can you have a superficial relationship? Are there girls that you just party with and there's no expectations at all? Is that why we have so many different, girl groups. Like we have friend groups outside of our little circle. And I think that's common for a lot of women. But I feel like, you know, we have a lot of expectations for one another because we are female friends.
I don't think everybody needs this. And I don't think you need to be this for everybody. I think that there's certain groups that you can be this for, and maybe it's this group that we could have this within this group, but it doesn't mean that we have to have this with every single woman in our life. Yeah. I think as you get older, like I think as I've gotten older, I'm better with just saying no, this doesn't work for me and stuff. Yeah.
I'm
Grow some
working
gray
on
hairs,
it.
girl. You're gonna be like, no, no, like yeah, no, yeah. But like for real, but in a loving way, I'm okay to be like, oh, I'm sorry, no, this just doesn't work for me. Yeah, and I'm good. I'm good with it. Like after I say no to like something that doesn't, because if I have to show up, yeah, I'm being honest to myself. If I have to show up and I am like not like it's not in my heart to show up, then I feel like it's worse. It's better for me to just say no and create a boundary than show up half-assed and like be there the whole time not wanting to even be there. I'd rather be true to myself and true to them. Like, oh no, I'm sorry, this just don't work for me. Yeah.
With
Yeah.
that analogy, okay, that I love, a huge part of friendship is repair. So we're talking about a sandcastle, right? How easily can a sandcastle break down? So quick, one wave, just one wrong move, it dries up too much on one area, it's going to collapse.
One
So
rain. Yeah.
all of these things, every relationship we've ever had will rupture. We have ruptures in all our relationships, and not having ruptures, not having fights, not having disagreements isn't an indicator of a healthy relationship. But it's how we repair those things. And I think that's a very delicate thing because none of us are really taught how to repair. Well, hopefully someone is. I was never taught how to repair. I was taught how to avoid. I was taught how to please. I was taught how to pretend that everything was okay.
How to serve even
How
when
to
you
serve.
don't want to.
Yeah,
or-
to perform.
Yeah.
But to actually really hurt someone and to say more than, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, because that is not an apology. That, oh, I didn't mean to, or my intentions were. And so when I realized in these relationships, if they matter, there has to be very, very hard, honest conversations about what the goal is. Lots of times we talk and we fight and we argue about something that we think is relative, and we want to know, well, you said it was 2 o'clock. Well, you said it was 2:30. Well, I said 2:30, but then I said it was 2 o'clock. Like, we can spend forever on this stupid argument. The point is, I feel overlooked and invalidated because you did not respect my time, and my time is valuable, my time is my attention, my time is all I have. And if you can deal with that instead of being like, oh man, get over it already. Like, there was traffic, like the consideration. And I have heard this said that the highest form of a friendship or a very, very beautiful form of love is consideration. How much do I consider how you feel in my decisions? If I'm not considering you at all and what my decisions are causing in your life, I don't know what kind of friendship that is, because that's not something that I can continue if I have to. I will always consider you. And if I know that that's where I'm at, then I'm going to look for someone who will give me that reciprocity. And if they don't, then I'll know that that's not maybe where I want to build my sandcastle, right? Because if I build a sandcastle and it's beautiful and it has all those things, I want it to last. And if weather and wind and rain can take it apart, that means it creates effort. Whether it's our partner relationships, our children, or our best friends, it does require the honesty and the ability to face ourselves really truly and say, yeah, I did that. I didn't show up. I wasn't there on the right time, or I said that. Like, you are going to say things that are going to hurt your friends' feelings, and they're going to say things that are going to hurt your feelings. Whether that's intentional isn't the point. What are we going to do about it? Do I love you enough to hear you tell me, hey, when you did that, it made me so upset. And I'm like, I would never do anything to hurt your feelings, but I did. So I can't stand on that ground and say, you know me. You knew I wouldn't hurt you because I love you. No. She's telling me that I hurt her. So if I love her, what I do is, do I hold that? Do I hold space for that? I do. And then I have to say, okay, give me a minute. Like, what does that mean about me? And instead of making, oh, I'm a bad person. Oh, just because I'm a jerk and I don't even deserve your friendship. No, it's like, oh my gosh, I am sorry and I'm going to do better. And I'm going to keep messing it up. You keep correcting me. And that's hard because we don't want to be wrong. We don't want to be We were taught that the point of an argument is to win it by being right. So to be right, that means that makes the other person wrong. And in that, what does that give us? You won, you're right, good job. But then now I have a damaged connection to you, but good job, you're right. And you go ahead and live on with that. But now I know you care about being more about being right than being kind or being true to me or being open to repair. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges we have in all relationships. But with close relationships is being able to own the fact that there should not be blame. There should not be someone to say, well, this, until we can move forward with this conversation, you've got to really admit this was your fault. Why?
But I think like someone can only take on something so many times. Like you can only hurt somebody so many times before you're like, that person is like, okay, I've had enough here. This friendship is not for me, no matter how many times you keep doing this and you keep saying sorry. So I think that, yeah, like people can only take so much, you know, but people will show you who they are and you have to believe them. So if they keep showing you over and over and over who they are and you're not believing them, in your mind, you want this to be something else, whether it's in a relationship or a friendship or whatever. Like, I think there has to come a time where you're like, okay, this is who this person is, and whether I want to accept that in my life or not. And then I'm just going to just step aside and just like not invest in this, you know. But yeah, I think anybody can only handle so much hurt, you know, before the sorries just gets like, I can't do this already. Yeah. I want to talk about also not only being that friend for someone else, but also doing that for yourself, like truly just loving yourself, who you are, where you are in this moment, in this body, with this hair, like all of it at this age. Like, I think it's important that we have to be that first before we can give that, you know? Yeah.
I think so, because as much as we try, when we are not in that, we're playing a role of a friend, the role that we saw on TV. And those roles can be crazy because what are the shows out? The
Rescue High Surf.
Rescue High Surf, right? Rescue High Surf drama. Those girls.
No, no, she's talking like Desperate Housewives
No, like
or something like that.
Desperate Housewives, or like we see friendship. We're modeled friendship. We are shown. Is that what friendship is?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Because we see it.
But that's what our daughters are being taught.
Yeah.
Right? What they see on TV, that's what they're taught, like that Mean Girls and being catty and all that kind of stuff. So we have to teach our daughters that that's not true friendship. But then we have to lead by example.
Yes. And hopefully they see it in our relationships, you know? Yeah.
My mom didn't, my mom passed October last year, on the solar eclipse, like the day of. It was just this crazy experience, and at the time we weren't speaking. So this is one of the most difficult things I'd ever gone through, because I had recently, in the last 5 years, separated myself from my childhood faith. And in that, it created a lot of dysfunction within the established relationships of my life, the ones where I knew who I was supposed to be to these people, and I was consciously, with purpose, breaking those connections, which is so heartbreaking. You think of a parent losing their child in that way. And so I had empathy for how my mom felt about it, and yet I'd gotten to a point where I couldn't betray myself anymore for anyone. And sometimes that makes you feel like you're going to burn the whole house down, and you don't even care if you're in it. You just know it has to go. And so, being such a delicate situation, it's like the fear of every female is that I'll get in a fight with my mom, and she's going to be alone, and she's going to pass away, and we're never going to repair it. And that's where I was. She passed, and I think a lot about what that means in terms of accepting myself and my truth. And to have your mother not accept something about you so deeply, someone who gave me life, who brought me to this earth, to the source of everything in my body, to not accept me and then lose her. You know, how do you cope with that? And the fact is, I had to be sure that what I needed was worth it. And the fact is, it is. What you need is beyond what someone needs from you. What you need to be whole does not include who you have to be for someone else to feel okay about themselves. So when we enter these really difficult times and we have to separate ourselves from what's expected of us to earn love or to be good enough for someone, those are hero moments. And when you do that, no one else will ever stop you for the rest of your life. If you can own what you're going to live through and that you're going to exemplify that. But my mom grew up with very few relationships. She was very shy. She was very introverted. And I remember worrying all the time about her being able to maintain relationships or who's she going to have. Because even as a child, like I'm 7 or 6, worrying about, well, who are my mom's friends? And then she gets older and then there's fewer friends and there's fewer opportunities to meet friends. And it became like my life's mission to like have friends to just show my kids how ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. Like that was one of my wounds, is that I have these friendships now and I can be like, hey, look, I got a friend, like I'm so proud of my friendships. But in that way, it is because I want to teach my daughter that like, while I will be her everything that I can be, and I will try to be a better mother and stand with her, because my mom loved me. And that's a hard thing to understand, is that she did love me. And Sepa has to push me through this all the time. She loved me as much as she was capable of loving me. And I have to honor that, because I know that's true. Even if it didn't touch my heart, even if it made me feel I wasn't good enough or something was wrong with me that she couldn't love me, it was not me. It was her experience and her body and her ability to connect. And I know that. So I can let those things go and I can have that compassion, but also that's why I think we do need it. Maybe we don't need it in the way that we see it in other people, but I think we do need at least one person to see us entirely in everything and accept that that's okay, because I left a religion that dictated every part of who I was before I was born and after I died. Like there's no existence that without this truth, and to have all of that taken away for me was huge. And I kept looking at, is that my phone?
Somebody's.
I kept looking at these guys to see me different, because these people, my husband, my mother, my sisters, they saw me and treated me different. But these guys never did. And that gave me the strength to do the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life. And that's kind of the point of it, right? Because friends, fair weather friends, they're everywhere. We'll have a good time. We'll go out, go beach, have a good time, party. But when things are hard, when you're alone, when you're struggling, when you're challenged, that is when you need deep, deep loyalty in that way. That they're going to see you, they know you, and they're not going to question your value when you're already questioning your value.
And they're not going to abandon you, because I feel like abandonment is such a thing. Like, am I going to, if I make this decision, if I do decide to leave the church or whatever decision I want to make, will I be completely alone? Because that was your tribe. And then if you do decide to break away from that, it's just like, who am I and who do I have left? Like, will I be completely alone?
Yeah. And no,
you
won't. You won't.
Yeah, you won't.
Because you have friends.
But you cannot abandon yourself either.
That's
so you have to still stay true to you.
Because that's what we're actually afraid of.
Yeah.
It's not that someone else is it, but we're already hurt. And the abandonment doesn't come when they left us. It's that we already abandoned ourselves. And so we're like, they're confirming that I'm worth leaving, because I already know who I am. I already know that I don't have this value. I already know that I'm not worth it. And then they leave and they're, oh, see, I told you. But if you never abandon yourself, people can come and go all day and it will never matter, because you got you. And I didn't learn that till, 45, 46, like yesterday. Just kidding.
At Turtle Bay last night.
last night at Turtle Bay, my best night of my life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that that's something like that. Women, we have to learn not to abandon ourselves, to be accepted, to be part of the tribe. And I think we grow up as these little girls, and it's kind of like how I said earlier, we're looking at people to see how are they looking at us, like, am I accepted? You can be in the third grade, and like if you're the new girl in the class, you show up and you're like, do they like me? But like they don't know yet, do you like you? You know what I mean? Do you love you, regardless of how they're looking at you? But we go to third grade and we're looking at that. Then we're in middle school, we're in seventh grade, and especially in high school, it's just like, where's my tribe? Am I alone? Am I a loner? Am like, and you just go through these funky things. And I think as you get older, hopefully as women, you start to learn like, no, I am home. I am home within myself, and I can love myself, and I can have boundaries, and I can bring in women into my circle, and I can love you, and I can welcome you in because I love me. You know?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. What I really adore about these two women is that I'm a mess. I hate planning anything. I don't like to.
Yeah.
I don't like to be
We
on
don't let you
time.
plan nothing
I don't.
'cause
No.
we won't.
No.
I will be on the wrong flight.
No.
We'll be
No.
in wrong
All day
country.
long.
Like, I'm not kidding.
They do everything,
Yeah.
so they know, and that's the good
And
thing.
it's fine.
They
Yeah.
plan it. She plans it, sets the date. She has to have a set date.
Yeah.
She kind of needs to plan it because she's a busy person,
Yeah.
and they just invite me, and they just tell me
Yeah.
to get there, and I never do
This is the
anything.
time,
And
this is the- yeah.
I feel the most seen in my whole life when I'm with them because I'm like, oh, I don't. What are we eating? I don't have to decide anything. I just get to go.
Yeah.
I sit in the back seat. I never want to sit in the front seat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it works. And there's no judgment.
And no one's saying, oh, Omi's going to be late. There's a little bit of like, well, no, they help me. This is the thing. They know my weaknesses.
Yeah.
And they do not pit me against myself. And then they do not bring it up like they're brand new. Like, oh, you're late again. Of course I'm late. You know,
Yeah.
they'll just be like,
Yeah.
hey, you might want to, you got 10 minutes, you better start packing. Okay. They manage it with love. And that's the difference is that I know many people who know who I am, who make me feel like I'm a mess because I don't keep to the standards of time. And I mean, to an extent, I try, but I don't care that much. So that's the fact. Like, you could shame me all day, but I'll be like,
I don't care. So it's
yeah,
not shame.
send me the Uber. That's love, girl.
But I think so much of this has to do, like, of our friendship also has to do with grace, right? Like acceptance and grace. I mean, when you brought up the example of like, actually confronting, hurt, right? Like you did this to me and I was hurt or whatever. I mean, so much of that repair has to do with recognizing and not shortchanging each other for all of the emotional deposits that we've made over the years, because that matters, right? And in times when you're deeply hurt, I've seen, unfortunately, too many relationships that just ended because, it's like we start making up these stories about like, no, that wasn't the first time. That wasn't the first time she hurt me because I heard from so and so that she said this and she said that, and I was like, okay, well, are we in middle school? Like, people go through shit all the time. Like, if it's worth it to you, dig in there and find out why. Why did she behave in a way that was like uncharacteristic of her? How did she behave in a way, or why did she behave in a way that was so completely different from the person that you had always thought to be a friend? And I think if you're rolling with your girls for years, there's something there. And I would much rather work that out than think that I had wasted all those years. And then I walk away with these false stories about like how she was never my friend and she's this person, not that person or whatever. So I think grace is really important. And I think what I appreciate most about you two in my life is that there's not a minute where I doubt that there isn't love for me. You know what I mean? And it's not like I feel like my family would ever abandon me or whatever. It's one of those things where I don't want to take for granted, but it's so easy to take for granted because it's so easy. The relationship is so easy, right? It's just like I can be whoever I want. I can show up bad mood, good mood, whatever the case is. And it's like, and I'm still going to be excited. I mean, they're not going to like change the locks on me. You know what I mean? Like, it's home. It's where we can really be who we are without any expectations, without anybody, wanting me to feed them or wipe their ass or, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So anyway.
And I think the beautiful part about this is that how I feel about you guys. Like, I feel this extension of,
Yeah.
things are either retractive and you pull in, or they're expansive. And we've talked a lot about expanding and growing. And in these rooms, I feel that expansive love for everybody here. And I think that then we just move accordingly. Like, we magnetize, come together, we have the same energies, we create together, we'll continue to follow each other, even if it's just social media. And yet, I think things can build from here, understanding that in this room with us, it's safe. There's no judgment. I want to offer everyone the same love that I can offer them. It's not always going to be met, and that's kind of where I pace myself, is that I will offer you my whole heart if you seem safe enough in the beginning, and then I'll act accordingly from there. And I'll meet the energy, and it's never going to hurt my feelings, because I'm always going to be aware, this is where you can meet me, and I'm going to honor that. And this is where you can meet me, and I'm going to honor that because that matters to me. And it doesn't matter to everybody, but I live for that. I live for that moment where I get to know something special about each and every one of you that I just met on this trip. And then hopefully the next time we come back, we'll meet you again and again, and we'll see your growth, and we'll see all the different things that you're developing inside, and your trust is growing for your community and your support system in that same way. And then maybe we become part of that support system for you.
Yeah. And I hope that when you guys leave today, I hope that you guys can take away what true friendship is and how to be it for yourself, and then also how to give it to others, and how to accept it when others are there for you, Yeah. Thank you. Thank you guys for all being here. And thank you for listening to the podcast.